Right, welcome back to the channel, handy as hell. Now, you might remember this little bit. If you recall, I put out a video about very affordable, very accurate track guide rail system that allows you to make exact same dimension cuts on your track saw. And these parallel guide system, that's the word I was looking for. And this one, which I told you about, which I love because it's super well machined from China and super well made, very accurate, but has one little flaw. And the little flaw being these little magnifying devices here. And you can see, in fact, it's a good illustration. Look, as soon as the light shines on that pointer there, so top and bottom, there are these little triangular pointers that in low light or in weird lighting situations are very hard to see. So I promised you I'd come up with a solution. So I've kind of looked into this. It looks like we can take this part with metric Allen keys, and it looks like, I'm not sure the camera will pick this up, but let's see. It looks like that little glass is held in there. Can you see that? With a little, one of those little kind of spring-loaded clips. So the plan is to use said tools, very, very small end screwdriver there, try and get that clip out. Metric Allen key, this is the smallest one, actually fits these little guys on here. Take it apart and see if we can get one of those little glasses out and see what we can do to it. So let me do all that and I'll get back to you. You know what? I think, rather than do this, I think I'm just going to try and remove that spring on the glass without taking any of this apart. That probably seems like a safer bet. Okay, this all still works fine. I haven't caused too much trouble here in my ignorance. Nothing like a DIY video where you just watch somebody screw something in. Okay, so forget about that for the time being. I think we're going to try and, without busting something up, access the little spring that holds this glass in. If I can just pry that out. That is pretty solid in there. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. Okay, so to get in there, we need something finer. Right, I've got the tip of a safety pin here. Let's see if the tip of a safety pin will get in behind, yeah. So unfortunately, it's getting in there. Oh, look. Ho, 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 ho. It wants to pop out. In fact, so basically the safety pin tip will get in behind there, but then as soon as I try and pop it out, it says you're going to bend, safety pin. Can't tell you how close this is to coming out, folks. Incredible. Might have to be doing a lot of editing on this video. I'm sure they make special pliers for these types of clips. I just don't have them. Or the ones I have. I think I do actually have some, like those mechanics pliers, but they will be too, the edge of them will be way, oh, look at that. Bit of perseverance, my friends. And all of a sudden, pa-pam! There is that little ring. So hopefully now, oh, the glass just pops out. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. So now, let's, first of all, let's make sure we got all of that on tape. Now then, okay, so yes, we did get it on tape. So there you go. There is the little lens, which I think is the culprit, probably low quality. But actually, these guys here, is that focusing? Yeah, those little markers aren't really large enough. So we could try using the device without the glass like that. That might actually work pretty well. That might be the easiest solution. But we might also find the exact middle of this and either spray paint a fine line on it, so tape it up and spray paint a very fine line, or what I have seen done, you know, with jigs and tools, is we make a line with a knife, very sharp Stanley knife or utility knife. We make a line bang down the middle of this guy, middle of this circle, so basically the diameter, and then we smear a bit of paint on it and then wipe it all off, and the paint will just stick in the groove on this thing, and then we'll have a nice line all the way across and make it much easier to set up the measurements. So let's try that. Right, plan A is I have a very, very fine tip Sharpie, and I've placed the glass back in its location, and I am going to mark with the tip. I'm going to mark on the glass the very tip of both of those indicators, so that when I pop the glass out, I have something to draw a line between or scratch a line between. Right, there we go. I have my two little marks, and I can, it's slightly convex, this glass, so I'm going to see what the best way is to draw a line between those two marks. Right, well, very simply, I just stretch some tape between those 2 points, and then this is quite, you know, thin tape. Or if you use blue tape or something like that, painter's tape, it would be, you know, it's a bit thicker but still bends nicely. That'd be easier, but basically that gives you a little edge to ride the Sharpie against, and you can connect those 2 points. Okay, so now that we have the line drawn, the tape is off, I think my first move is going to try the painted line solution. So I am going to get some blue tape, painter's tape. I'm going to stretch it across either side of that line, just leave like a 32nd of an inch, and spray paint that. Try and get a nice black line across there and see how that comes out. The reason I'm going to do that first is we can always wipe that paint off. Ooh, my dog wants to come in. Can always wipe that paint off and go for the scratch line afterwards. Right, hopefully this is focusing and you can see this. Is this focusing? Not great quality, but I've got a tiny, maybe a 64th of an inch, maximum 32nd gap between those two pieces of tape, masking tape, and we're going to spray that. Yeah, actually, this is a better illustration from the back side. You can see the white paper through there. You see that little slit? Let's see how that turns out after we paint it. Right, moment of truth. There we go. Spray painted. We're going to take this tape off and see if this is going to be a viable solution. Right then, this is what we're left with. What do you think? I think the only way of finding out is placing it back in that guy, sticking that back on the track. We won't put the clip in yet, there's no point. See if it lines up with the indicators there. See if the line nicely lines up top and bottom, and then see if it's easier to read. See what we get. The other idea I've had is maybe just painting those little indicators different color. Maybe in white they would show up more. I don't know. Anyway, let's try this first. Right then, you tell me what you think. Here we are, we're reassembled. Let's zoom in a bit. There we go. Let's get rid of the parallax. So right over the top of it, there's my black line. I think that is significantly easier to read. You definitely still get parallax. If I just go from one side to the other, it definitely creates a problem. And you know, I think that is a function of that lens. It might even be better to remove the lens. Let's see what happens if we just remove the lens. Right, here we are without the lens at all. And this is a bit of an artificial view because it's probably more like this, so you'd be looking at it. See how those indicators, they just need to be much larger. They're just not large enough. And I wonder, see that little way there's a little chamfer on the way it digs down with that shadow. I wonder if these were painted white, whether they would just stand out much more. I think I might give that a go. I might actually use some of that whiteout or that Tipex and go over those whites, see if that makes a difference as well. Well, here is the answer to our question. So this is lens removed, those little tips painted white. Now, you tell me, that is much easier to read. And in fact, so much easier that I find those magnifying lenses pointless. I really don't see the point in them. I think I prefer this to the line across the lens. So I think I'm going to remove all of them and just go with this. This to me seems very easy to set. So there you go. Basically, this is a great little system, apart from that one Achilles heel, but easily rectifiable by just popping out the lenses. Easily done. There you go. Enjoy. Link in the description.